As I discussed a lot of my thoughts on optimizing your class change to master classes in my previous video, there was always a lingering question in the back of my mind, even throughout my own playthrough. Is this even worth it? A lot of people commented on the fundamentals of class changing video to tell me that they didn't think that moving their units down a certain mastery line was worth the hassle. So I figured, let's look at it objectively and talk both numbers and theory. In order to do this, we should probably go over each class one by one and discuss it. In total, we have 9 mastery classes available, but 2 of them are female only, and 1 is male only, making it 7 available for males and 8 for females. After I do that, I will be giving my final conclusions on the grand scheme of things. Let's start off with the shared classes first. Number 1, Wyvern Lord. We're starting out here with one of the best classes in the game. In terms of utility, this class is a flying class, so they have the best mobility in the entire game, and they also have Canto. Looking at their growths, the Wyvern Lord has some of the best growth boosts in the entire game, with 15% to strength and 10% to speed. If you have a unit that is having trouble in strength, or low strength growth, then this is the path for you. I actually really like this class for someone like Bernadetta, for example. Let your little introverted girl reach the skies swinging around a mad axe and slaying things left and right. Her personal skill also pairs well with Defiant Crit, and she gets access to flying levels through Pegasus Knight and Intermediate, so yeah, do it! In terms of their skills, Wyvern Lords have a single fair skill in Axe Fair, but honestly, axes are pretty decent in this game, so this might really be all you need here. And for some reason, they also have Avoid plus 10. This is nice, I guess, but the interesting skill that they have here is Defiant Crit. This can be really cool if paired with something like Vantage and or Desperation, and can create one big wrecking ball of a unit. The only downside to this class is that it is rather hard for male units to get into it, as they only get access to flying classes in Intermediate as a Wyvern Rider. It also has susceptibility to archers, who are rather plentiful in this game, but that can be patched up with a shield. Other than that, this is one of the best classes in the entire game. Definitely worth it. Number 2, the Mortal Savant. Okay, this class really grinds my gears, and this is why. As someone who loves to optimize and look at ideal endgame classes, this class is literally a recipe for disaster. This is the only endgame sword class, and if we look at all the prior sword classes that branch into it, none of them are set up to use magic to even get into the damn class in the first place. You are going to have to go out of your way to level Reason, probably through spam instruction, just to get the chance to class change into this. The second problem with this class is its growths. It has a 10% boost in strength, magic, and luck, while having a negative 10% decrease in speed. What the hell is this, a freaking armored class now? The sword-specific classes that go into this are Hero, Swordmaster, and Assassin, and they're all somewhat speed-based. Why are we all of a sudden forced to take a hit in our speed growth just to forward our class progression? And I don't know if I really agree with the argument of, by then we already have enough speed, so it's fine. This may be true in some cases, but do you really want to spend the second half of the game with a speed penalty? I guess if you're a male mage and don't have access to Gremory, this might be the easier class to get into, but I'd honestly just shoot for Dark Knight at this point instead. In terms of skills, this class has 2 fairs, Sword and Dark Tome Fair. This is nice, but that's basically all they get. Warding Blow? Yeah, I think I'll pass. Overall, this is a very underwhelming class and most definitely not worth it. If you're a sword main, stay in your advanced classes. They have better skills and growths, and if you're a magic main, go into literally anything else. Number 3, Great Knight. Here we have one of the classes that I'm a bit conflicted on. This is the only endgame class for armored units, but it's also the only endgame class for melee mounted units. Now, here's the problem. Great Knight has some terrible growth boosts. 10% to strength, negative 10% to speed, 5% defense, and negative 5 res. To put this into perspective, let's talk about what you're going to give up to get here. To get into this class, you're probably either coming from Paladin or Fortress Knight. The first hurdle is needing 2 highly leveled movement skills in both riding and armored to even get into this. The second thing you're giving up is your growths. Paladin actually loses its boost in Dex, Luck, and Resistance for absolutely no gain in growths, and also a loss of 1 movement. while Fortress Knight loses 10% of its defense growth boost while adding on -5 res growth in exchange for 3 movement. In terms of its skills, it actually has some pretty good ones. Grey Knight has access to dual fares in Lance and Axe, it has Canto and Defiant Defense, and can give some nice utility to add on. Nothing super special, but well-rounded overall. This is just pretty difficult. I think going from Paladin to Great Knight is kind of hard to justify, but an argument can certainly be made for going from Fortress Knight into Great Knight for a literal moving tank. I honestly, the verdict's still out on this one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'd say this one's going to be pretty unit specific rather than apply generally. Number 4 and 5 I'm actually going to do together because they're basically the same thing, just different magic. So it's Holy Knight and Dark Knight. Dark Knight has ever so slightly more offensive growths with a boost to strength, with Holy Knight having their boost in luck. They both take a -5 hit and speed and get 10% magic, 5% defense, and 10% res boost to their growths. Dark Knight has the double fares in Dark and Reason magic, while Holy Knight has White Tome Fare. Dark Knight also has Seal Resistance, which helps them do more damage over multiple rounds against big enemy monsters or tanky bosses. Holy Knight has Terrain Resistance and Defiant Res, which help survivability, I guess? The big factor here is really their movement range and Canto, which lets Dark Knights do hit and run with magic and Holy Knights pop in, heal, and get out. They both also get access to Reason magic, with Dark Knight getting access to Dark magic for those who can use it, and Holy Knight gets White magic. These classes really aren't anything too special, but they're pretty solid endgame magic classes overall. They sacrifice speed for mobility and a bit more tankiness, and they're the only good endgame option for male mages, I'd say. I think these are the better choice over Mortal Savant, and if you want a mixed physical and magic hybrid, you should just go with Dark Knight. Less speed penalty, more movement. And for females, well, that's a discussion we'll have later on once we get to Gremory. Number 6, Bow Knight. Broken. Next! Nah, I'm just kidding. I've actually got quite a bit to say about this class. At first glance, I was looking at the growths and I wanted to cry. 10% HP, -5 in speed, and nothing else? What is this trash class that basically has no growths and survives on a unit's base growth? Then I started to dig a little deeper. Bows can get range +1 from leveling their rank normally, and then this class gives you both bow fare and bow range +2. Okay, so that's 5 range with bows, totally fair and balanced. Then we look at riding. You can get +1 movement through leveling it normally, and this class also has the highest master class movement at 8, so that's 9 movement, with Canto. So 9 movement, 5 range. These units basically cover 14 tiles ahead just by existing. Oh, and on top of that, let's just give them Defiant Speed to help them double everything while they're also out of range of everything with that 5 range. Totally fair and balanced. Yeah, this class is good. This class is really good. But the catch here is you really have to survive on your base growths alone. If you're someone like Dimitri and you have the most broken growths in the entire game, then hell yeah, go Bow Knight and just wreck stuff. Heck, slow units can go Bow Knight as well and just use the Brave Bow from 5 tiles away, no problem. Why don't we make everyone a Bow Knight and just end this game in one turn? Quick, do, grab your bow, come on, let's go. Yeah, I think you know my verdict on this one, but just to summarize, if your stats are already high and you have good bases, then this class is incredibly worth it. If not, you may still need to spend some time in other classes to level up first. Now, the unique classes are a little bit different here because we have to take into account who actually benefits from these classes. Number 1, War Master. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. This is an excellent class. War Masters are pretty broken. Not only do they have brave weapons, but the weapons have low weight, so you're probably doubling, which means quadding. And if you don't have high speed, don't worry about it. War Masters get quick riposte as a skill, which will let you attack twice on enemy phase, so you're always getting 2 attacks in. In terms of skills, this class is stacked. 2 fares in Axe and Fist, and just your good old crit +20. As if brave weapons weren't enough, you're just gonna make them crit machines too while boosting raw attack with their fists? Yeah, very fair. Now, let's talk about growths. This one's easy. 40% HP boost, 15% strength boost, and 10% speed boost. What's not to like? The speed boost might seem wasted on the slower growing units like Raphael or Dudu should you decide to put them in this class, but the lack of negative growths and high HP and strength boost is enough to sell this class on basically anyone. Even Ignatz can hit 50% strength boost, so maybe let him punch someone every now and then. I would say I have nothing bad to say about this class, but for some reason it is an inherently sexist class that only men can advance to, so sorry, but your waifus ain't gonna be punching people as master class anytime soon. Maybe they'll add War Mistress as DLC or something? I hope? Number 2, Gremory. Prior to writing this, I actually thought Gremory was a lot better. Now that I look at this class, it's pretty underwhelming. It continues to add to the fact that there are 0 mage classes with any sort of speed growth boosts, and the only boosts that it gets here are 10% to magic and dex and 5% in res. Respectable, I guess, but nothing mind-blowing, and there's no negative growths at all. But then I look at the skills and I kinda have to scratch my head. White, black, and dark magic uses ×2, and defiant magic? I mean, that's cool and all if you managed to finagle yourself a Vantage build while you got here, and could make for some interesting shenanigans, but the lack of any sort of fair here hurts, and there's basically no passives here at all. You have a magic class with no real unique growth boosts, no movement boost, no fair skills to boost damage output. Yeah, Gremory is quite literally just double the magic. I'll be honest here, I'll probably take Dark Knight and Holy Knight over Gremory any day. Although, let me be a little fair here, Gremory getting 2x white magic uses does allow you to have a secondary healer that can also do a ton of magic output, so that's not totally a bad thing. It just doesn't really pack any oomph, if you know what I mean. Number 3, Falcon Knight. I'm going to keep this one short because it's basically similar to Wyvern Lord in a lot of regards. Falcon Knight is top tier. It has excellent growths with 10% to strength, 20% to speed, and 5% to res, and no negative growths. It flies and has Canto and has Lancefare. But the other skills seem to be focused around dodge tanking with Avoid +10 and Defiant Avoid. Amazing class overall, it's just a shame this class is locked to female only. And that's really the only bad thing I have to say about it. Totally worth chasing after this one. Alright, now that we've broken them down one by one and looked at them in detail, my conclusions are twofold. All of these classes can be worth it, if you have the stats to back up the loss of growths in the class that lose it. Otherwise, being able to justify a class as weak growths-wise as Bow Knight, which already has low stats, is kind of hard sometimes, even if it's completely broken. As good as it is, 0x2 from 5 range just isn't going to help, especially if your unit isn't going to grow much past their base anyways. And number 2, it is possible to use these classes as a utility class, and potentially build them around certain strategies. One of the suggestions I've seen is that if you have a bunch of dodge tanks and you never really get hit, then what's the problem having a couple of Holy Knights who don't really need major healing output, since Holy Knight does lose Bishop's white magic heal +10, for example. Anyways, that's basically all for this video. In the next video, I'll be doing a deep dive into what the best classes in the game are and why some of the advanced classes easily beat out master classes in their roles. As always, thank you all for watching, and if you guys enjoyed these breakdown videos that dive deeper into game mechanics, leave a like and subscribe to stay tuned for more in the coming weeks, and feel free to drop by my Let's Play if you'd like a daily upload from me where you can interact more closely. I usually respond to all the comments over there, so pass by if you're interested. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.